finally got the black jerseys back. All these years where the fan base has been asking for them, the Sixers, they get it done. The 25th anniversary of the 2000-2001 NBA Finals appearing team. They're going to be well represented this season, and for the first time this year, the Sixers will wear them tonight against the conference semifinals opponent from that year, the Toronto Raptors. We also have a basketball game to simply talk about to snap the 2-game losing streak. We are coming to you live from the Xfinity studio. It's Rich. I'm Devon. Bree is here, the president of basketball operations. All of you for some Saturday night hoops as we are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365. Whatever the moment, when never ordinary at Bet365. We got to talk about the losing streak, of course, how to snap this thing and get back to their winning ways at 5-3. Oh no, what is going on? Too many minutes being played right now for a lot of key players. How do they figure that part out outside of the George and Barlow piece of it? And also, we do have to flash back a bit to the 2000-2001 season and the current team wearing the jerseys. Bet365 pregame picks a little bit later. Rich, good to be back with you, man. Last time we talked, though, they were 4-1.
4-1.
They had just won to make it 5-1 on the Sunday against Brooklyn. Since then, 2 games have been played where they need to figure some things out here and regroup. Luckily, they are home after a 3-game road trip, losing the final 2. They are home for 3, starting with tonight. It is the front end of a back-to-back, but they are home. That being said, an opportunity for them tonight, tomorrow against Detroit, Boston once again on Tuesday, but a chance at home to once again regroup and clean up some of the things that got in their way against Chicago and Cleveland.
Yeah, man, I was not jealous of you guys having to do the post-game show after the Chicago collapse. All caps, we can call it that. Yeah, that was pretty crazy stuff. So I would say 2 things from tonight's game. Part of it is from the Chicago game, I would say the takeaways. Number 1 is you got to play fast. And I would say I would take a lesson from each game in this back-to-back. And number 1 is that you got to play fast because the Toronto Raptors, I think for the first time this season, the Sixers are facing a team on the second half of a back-to-back, road back-to-back for Toronto. They took care of business pretty good in Atlanta last night. It wasn't the most draining game for them. But as I have talked about the few times I have been on with you, I think the way that the NBA game is being played and guys are being picked up 80 feet from the hoop and the fact with how fast teams are playing on a consistent basis, these back-to-back games, and especially ones where the other team is on a road back-to-back and you've had 2 days off just chilling at home, got to take advantage of this. So Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, I'd like to see those guys flying because I think these guys are going to have tired legs. And I think maybe until we get into the middle portion of this season, Devon, and until these teams just all get tired to an extent and maybe they call off the dogs a little bit and just sort of general gameplay, I think these back-to-backs, the team that has that rest advantage is going to be at a huge advantage in these games. And number 2 is the takeaway from the Chicago game. Man, just run your normal offense for the entire game. Like, yeah, let's get easy buckets in the open court. But the way they ran offense at the end of the game, man, that was such a disaster from a process standpoint. And so it's funny. I was watching Nick Nurse's press conference on the PHLY Sports YouTube. Derek does a great job with those yesterday. And at his availability, he got asked a question. The Sixers, where do you think they rank? So this is the ball movement stat in passes per game around the NBA.
Out of 30?
Out of 30.
If you're asking that question, I would say 25th.
No, complete opposite. 3rd.
Really?
3rd. And I think you probably got clouded a little bit by that stretch at the end of the game the other night. So they've been moving the ball pretty well. And Nick Nurse's general point on it was, look, I think part of the reason our guards have been able to cook is we're getting the ball side to side. We're moving it. It's easier to do that when you're passing the ball, when you're getting both body and getting ball and body movement. Easier to attack than just having to do 5 dribbles and try and break down a man one-on-one against the set defense, which is why that stretch at the end of the Chicago game, man, was so frustrating. Just run your offense. I just rewatched the end stretch 3 post-ups for Joel. Get those out of the playbook like it's 2018.
And he couldn't in that stretch. He couldn't move him. It was Vucevic. I think it was twice Vucevic.
No, it was all Vucevic.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, he couldn't move him at that point. Look, these guys have had some really good, fun battles over the years, and Joel has had the better of him. But Vucevic has done decently at times against Joel Embiid. He couldn't move him at that point when he came back into the game. He could not move Vucevic off the spot.
No. So, and I think you're right, and I think that has to do with, one, he was tired, and he was also, I'll be interested tonight to see how they sub Joel, because this is his 2 last games that he's played, which I believe are Boston and the game we're talking about against Chicago, where they've gone with the really long break at the end of the third quarter, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, to try and squeeze in those 25 minutes, but have him closing the game, as opposed to the first couple weeks of the year where they said, all right, you're just going to play your normal allotment, and we're going to figure out the fourth quarter and see who the hot hand is, with whether if it's Barlow, if it's Bona, if it's Drummond some nights as well. So I'll be curious if they keep going with that, because they are 0-2 during this stretch, man. And then, it wasn't just Joel post-ups. There was some Joel and Tyrese 2-man games. But you got to dress that up with movement. You got to, it's not even about like calling a play for Kelly Oubre or VJ Edgecombe or Quentin Grimes, but it's having those guys involved. It's sometimes running Quentin Grimes off a couple of stagger screens. And that's not to say that Joel and Tyrese aren't going to touch it, because a lot of times on those sets, Devon, they get back to that 2-man game. But like Nick Nurse said yesterday, the defense has had to work pretty hard for 10 seconds. They've had to defend multiple actions. It's easier to get looks from that, and Joel is a willing passer. So I thought that was kind of a mystifying approach down the stretch, considering how well they had played offense at the beginning of that game. And here's the hope, man. It's an 82-game schedule, long season. Can you just learn a lesson from that, right? And can you just learn the lesson that, hey, we can't play that way. We can't try to close out games an entirely different way than the way that we did to build up the lead in that game. So hopefully they learn from that. That was very frustrating in the moment, but, hopefully they learn from it. Hopefully we don't have to see that they learn from it tonight, because they just run these guys out of the gym for the most part. But I think that was the big takeaway that I had from this game. And then the other thing I would say, just in terms of time to regroup and the theme of tonight's first little block here, is I'd like to see Jared McCain get back on track too.
Yeah.
He looked pretty rusty the other night, didn't you think?
Yeah, he did. He looked like he hadn't played in 10 months, right? And a guy that has not been able to, where he has played basketball, if we all remember, yes, we know that he was out for the surgery. He did play in some of those open runs and all, but he didn't play in any real competition of the summer league because they wouldn't allow him to do so. And right before training camp got underway is when he sustained the injury. So he couldn't get out there and actually play and compete against guys that are certainly going after him and maybe swiping at the hand a little bit. And a guy who we see as, while he is not this great athletic player, what we did talk about, something that was really good for a smaller guard, is him using his 2 feet and his lower base the way that he does, especially when he gets to around the free throw line, maybe a bit in there into the paint, and he can pivot, turn, scoop shots, maybe some fadeaways over some long arm defenders, just because of how much lift he's able to get on that shot because of his lower base. Your legs also have to come back with you when you get back, and they are not back just yet. So I agree with you. Since we haven't seen him since that Chicago game, and he was in that stretch of when Chicago started to come back, made one good play with the assist to Embiid along the baseline, but he couldn't really make the shots that we are accustomed to seeing him make in those 23 games. So to finally start to see him going again, I'd assume he's going to be on some sort of minute restriction.
Still is, yes.
But with that, maybe hit a couple of shots, make him feel a little more comfortable being out there on the floor. So I'm with you. I want to see Jared McCain too.
Look, and he mentioned yesterday at that same practice availability that Nick Nurse spoke at that, this is the first time that he's played with not only VJ Edgecombe, but also Quentin Grimes, which I think when you think about it, it makes sense, because Quentin Grimes wasn't even on the team when Jared McCain wasn't going to be on the team for a couple months when Jared McCain first got hurt. But it felt like that. It just felt like he wasn't really in the flow of the offense. There was a lot of standing in the corner. I'd like to see him get involved, whether, run a second side pick and roll for him, run him off a couple of screens, just try and get him a little more in the flow offensively. I thought he was unbelievably rusty in that game the other night, but I understand it. He has not played basketball in basically a year. He has not played NBA basketball in a year, and he's dealt with a lot of stuff. So as Jared continues to acclimate, let's see some progress. I'm not asking for 15 points in tonight's game, but knock down a couple shots, maybe look a little more active on the offensive end, decisive, those type of things. And you know what? I expect that to happen.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we're going to take our first break, everybody. Great breakdown, opening things up by Rich. When we come back, we'll talk about the minutes being played. We kind of touched a little bit on the Joel Embiid part. What about the rest of the guys where we saw Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, where you saw it really affected them in both Chicago and Cleveland? Different players in different ways, and maybe even some of the others where the fatigue got to them. We'll discuss it when we get back. Too many minutes being played. How do they fix it? Nick Nurse, he's the one that has to do it. We're talking about it when we get back. It's the pregame show, not a throwback edition. Maybe we should have worn something from like 2000, 2001 maybe, so we can be in theme. But nevertheless, we're here. We're going to talk about them a little bit later as well, plus our Bet365 picks right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show on a Saturday night. Yeah, team, we're back. Hey, we got to regroup too with these picks at Bet365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Both Bree and I, we missed by one leg of the parlay. Shame on us. But hey, we get two opportunities both here on Saturday and Sunday to bounce back, just like we're asking the home team to do so. We are part of the 90 million users worldwide. I hope all of you are, but if you're not, make sure you go ahead and sign up. And right now with the NBA, you get an early payout offer. If your team goes up by 20 against Toronto tonight, you cash in instantly with a 20-point lead by that particular basketball team. If you're a new customer and you do want to sign up and become a member just like us, Bet365, right now, new customers, $300 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, you're getting that nowhere else. Sign up, use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and you get $300, win or lose, no matter what. And you can use those on parlay spreads, player totals, props, whatever you have. You got it. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Man, you mentioned 2001 clothes, and I'm just thinking baggy suits, baggy shorts, just everything, baggy shirts. Okay, let's get to Xfinity.
Tomorrow.
And the other day,
we can wear them tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. The other day, I was over at Derek Bodner's house, man, and he was pumped to watch basketball, but his setup, it was a total mess. Lagging, buffering, and switching between apps to find the game. He claimed that he was a big fan, but I felt like that I had been fan fished. See, if you call yourself a basketball fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way that I watch, guys, it's next level. In fact, it's the perfect fan flex. I've got all the action right there in my living room. Plus, Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, so clear that it feels like I'm in the arena. The Xfinity Mobile Arena, in fact. And sometimes, guys, I've got 4 games going at once because why not? On top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right there on my TV. It's the best seat in the house. So next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Sixers Raptors tonight, as the 5-3 Sixers take on the Raptors, where, hey, you hope that they can pick up a W back here at home. The Raptors on the season 5-4, so currently a half game back of the Philadelphia 76ers. Minutes played, second night of a back-to-back for the Raptors, as Rich pointed out, taking care of business against the Atlanta Hawks on Friday night. The Sixers, here are the minutes on average so far this season. Tyrese Maxey, through 8 games, 41.3 minutes per game. Kelly Oubre, 37.4. Quentin Grimes, 31.6. VJ Edgecombe, 38.5. These are all through 8 games so far. Embiid, 22.8. That's right around that 20-minute average on the restriction that he has. And then down the line, you have Watford, 19.4. Let's say Andre Drummond, 5.9. Bona, at the moment, 2.5. And that's really it. Dominic Barlow, 7.5 before he went out with the injury. So, Rich, that's a lot of minutes for, let's point out the 4 main guys here, excluding Embiid. Maxey, Oubre, Grimes, and Edgecombe. And we're talking Edgecombe as a rookie playing 38.5 minutes. Every one of these 8 games has been a competitive game where he's had to be in the game, Or maybe you could have shaved off a few of those minutes for someone else. Injuries early on, no McCain, no Watford to start the season as well. How does he fix this starting tonight? Can he fix this starting tonight?
We need a siren for the minutes police because we're going to be the...
Right now, we got a bell.
We're the minutes police right now. So, look, I look at those top three guys. Tyrese Maxey, 41.2 minutes per game. I actually wrote about this in the newsletter yesterday. The last two guys that have played that amount of minutes over a full season, Monte Ellis and Gerald Wallace. How about those as throwback names? Not quite as throwback as 01, but not too far from there. And that was in the 09-2010 season. Guys, that was a different sport back then. Tyrese Maxey, the 41 minutes that he's playing right now, these are hard minutes, guys. He's at the top of every scouting report, and he's being hounded the entire game. We saw it literally in this back-to-back. You saw it with Okoro. They literally just told Okoro, you don't have any responsibility on offense except shoot when you're open. Your whole job is just to go after Tyrese Maxey. Same thing with Jalen Tyson the next night with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think most teams are going to do this to Tyrese Maxey. They're going to put their quote-unquote shooting guard, it was Jalen Suggs, obviously, with the Magic, and they're going to tell that guy, I want you to tire out Tyrese Maxey because the goal is, this Sixers team is pretty good and Tyrese Maxey has been spectacular. But the goal is at the end of the game, like we saw against Chicago, Tyrese Maxey was short on a bunch of jumpers. And again, we talked about, how they got stagnant offensively. Tyrese and Joel also missed a couple of shots that they could have made. But I do think that the game had gotten to him at that point where he just did not have that same energy. So no, he cannot be playing 41 minutes per game.
So who's that tonight? Barrett or Quickly do you think starts out on him?
Yeah, it's a little tougher with this team with Barrett, Quickly, and Ingram in the starting lineup.
And Barnes, for that matter, because he can guard smaller players. You
know what? It's probably Scottie Barnes. Yeah, I think that's who they're gonna put out on him. It's a good point though. They don't have one of those smaller. They have two sort of scorers with Barrett and Ingram. If I had to guess, if it's not Barnes, it's gonna be.
I would say Barrett because of the
I was gonna say Barrett. Yeah.
Yeah, like quickly run around with Edgecombe a little bit until he gets in trouble.
So we'll see. And I don't think they're gonna be able to as effectively pull that off because Tyrese, number one, has had a couple days off and they're also a little tired. They're going to have some heavy legs at the start of this game. Yeah, no, they need to whittle down these minutes. And VJ Edgecombe had a really rough back-to-back where he kind of looked like what I expected as a rookie in the Chicago game. Did some nice things, had some very nice defense on Giddey down the stretch, a couple of those plays as well. And then he was just straight up bad against Cleveland, which is fine because he's a rookie. When you look and he has the second most minutes per game in the NBA, it's like, look, Nick Nurse, I understand. Nick Nurse, by the way, is a guy who does like to play his guys heavy minutes. The people in Toronto can tell you that because some of those years, from basically 2019 to 2023, Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, those guys played a lot of minutes when they were healthy, man. Nick Nurse was not taking those guys out of the game. I think, especially with Maxey, that's okay. Like, if Maxey leads the league in minutes, I also think that's okay. I'm not asking for 30 minutes per game from him.
Yeah.
But 41 is a lot. I think the hope is, number one, get a few more blowouts, like just get him off his feet. Number two, you're going to get McCain back, and hopefully he's going to be able to. And I'm not gonna say that word, but his minutes are going to be able to.
Got the dollars, man.
No dollars for me. I don't have that type of dough. His minutes will increase.
Sure.
Yeah. And then with Paul George as well, you might be able to bump some guys down in the pecking order a little bit. Barlow as well. So that's got to be the hope. Those guys are playing a lot of minutes. I understand that they've played an overtime game, that they've played a lot of close games, that there's not a lot on the bench as well. But you got to find a way to get those guys some longer breathers, which is why when you led the other night, when Kyle and Derek and you led the other night with I can't believe he played those guys that many minutes.
And it's funny because Kyle was like, I'm sorry for hijacking this and changing, because when we were sitting there, again, we not lying, you know us. We were sitting there in the fourth quarter, the game was out of hand. We're like, don't even bring him back.
Oh,
just let him rest.
You got to understand
Started the
that.
fourth quarter, we were like, done for the night. Just take this L. It's an L. It sucks. 2 games in a row you've lost. And then they make the comeback and he's forced to keep him out there, but you didn't really have to. And Kyle was like, no, we're not talking about this right away. Let's get to this, because it was bad, man. It really was, the fact that. And look, it is really highlighted because of what happened the night before, and you're trying to steal a win because you dropped that one, and you're trying to make up for it all in that final 12 minutes when, no, you can't get that one back. Yes, you are allowed to come back. Maybe you have come back, and you've done so at times this season, but at that spot, just let it be, because what you don't want to do is, number one, you're running up the minutes. You also don't want to risk any kind of injury where something happens and then it just catches up to them, and you don't want to see that. So that's where the frustration was a lot with that game on Wednesday night.
Nick Nurse was the guy chasing his bets. He lost the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock football games. So he's hammering Sunday Night Football, and you don't do that. You lost that game, but you have to treat this one as one of 82 and trying to get you through the entire season.
Game 8. It's game 8.
And again, if the game was close and it was, the team was looking a little better, but they got their doors blown off in the second half of that third quarter. So I understand there's a balance. I understand Nick Nurse wants these guys to play hard and develop that culture, but that was a time you should have figured that out. Yeah.
By the way, Tyrese Maxey still averaging 33.5 points per game, 8.5 assists as well in the 8 games, 41 minutes played by the guy who was just named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week for the first honors delivered by the NBA on this young season. So what about the VJ Edgecombe minutes? How do you want to, I know you just briefly talked about it, but
he looks exhausted, man.
With McCain back, he's still on a minute restriction. Is it more leaning Edwards for just steal a few minutes, something like that?
It's hard.
It is hard. However, you got to look at the long game here, where you're talking about a kid who has never played 4 games in 1 week, and he didn't even get to the tournament long enough to play in those games, 4 games in 1 week. This is something that your only other option is Edwards, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, maybe deep in the bench with Hunter Salas if you want to just steal a couple of minutes there. But
like you did against Orlando a couple weeks ago.
Right, yeah. But is there anything there, or to your point, it's kind of hard because you haven't gotten really good minutes? Now, look, Justin Edwards came in the game, hit a couple of shots last game. Maybe that'll put him back in the rotation where you can save Edgecombe a few minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for this back-to-back. I would say, look, the better answer is going to be Paul George get back on the court. Dominic Barlow.
We're getting there.
Dominic Barlow also get back on the court, because then you can play Kelly at the 3 a little bit more.
So go ahead, Bree. You can show the Barlow thing that Rich wanted because of this.
What a laceration, man. I cannot believe this.
And I did kind of make fun of it. And whatever it was, I kind of made fun of it. I don't think the guy is dogging it or anything.
No.
So whatever laceration it is, it's a really bad laceration.
Oh, I think it's like a freak injury. But I think the reason you laugh is that it's just so Sixers and comical that a laceration where when Nick Nurse was like, yeah, I heard he got cut. And when he initially heard that, he was like, all right, cool. Like
stitch him up,
stitch him up and get him back in or whatever.
Put a Band-Aid on it.
And this is just, the fact that he needs to keep his arm straight with this to sort of promote healing. I'm not a full doctor on this, but yeah, I guess the one positive way I would spin the Barlow injury
is a brace, man.
Is that at least the crazy injury that you never heard of only happened to the two-way guy instead of the top draft pick or the star player, because that's also happened with the Sixers. But look, Dominic Barlow, I think, is an important player, and he's a rotation player when he's healthy and provides that rebounding. But
Terrence Knights also brings up the Zaire peanut allergy. Only the Sixers where you get these types of things that happen to them. Only
again,
the Sixers.
to your top pick, and Zaire was very fortunate, honestly, to stay alive
100%.
After that one. That was pretty. He had a hole in his esophagus, which. Good for him. I'm happy they avoided the worst there, but that was he was in real bad shape initially. Okay, so that's Dominic Barlow, and then there's Paul George.
Yeah, what about Paul George?
Yeah, Kyle had it on all PHLY if you want to read it, where he basically said that Paul George is going to see the doctors this weekend. Nick Nurse, here was the quote: "I think the last hurdle is that he's seeing the doctors this weekend. That's the hurdle. Them clearing him to play is the main thing." So I looked up when he first played 5-on-5 basketball. October 16th. That's a long time to be playing 5-on-5 without any setbacks to not be back in the lineup for tonight's game. It seems like from all the observers, the reporters who were down at the arena and at practice, he looks pretty good in these setups shooting. The only way I could spin this positively too, just like the Barlow, with the idea that, hey, at least it's not your top player, your top draft pick that this is happening to. I wonder if they're just being really cautious because he never really got started last year with that left knee, that initial bone bruise. I believe it was in the preseason in Atlanta. Yeah, where he had that left knee. By the way, ban left knees. Left knees bad. No left knees.
Mine is right knee.
And that they're just trying to really slow play it and make sure he's 100%. But yeah, I mean, like, look, he has been playing 5-on-5 for a very long time so far. Hopefully they get him back because they need him back for two reasons. Number one, for defense, and number two, just for depth, right? That's another wing side. That's a legit wing player that you can bump down a couple of the guards. You don't have to play Quentin Grimes at the 3 quite as much. All of those things.
Yeah. If I had to guess, if I were guessing, I would say Tuesday against Boston or whatever that game is.
Yeah. That
Boston?
would be great.
Is that Boston? I think it's Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah. If whatever Tuesday is, I would say that would maybe be the one, and then go on the road Friday. Maybe that's the, and then they spread it out. No game Wednesday, no game Thursday. They're back Friday, so you get 2 games right there.
That one game on Friday, there's 2 days off before it and after it. Like, be nice to play him against Boston. He's got a nice amount of time to recover for that Detroit game, and then he's got a nice amount of time to recover for the next game as well. So hopefully.
Yep, let's hope so. And we'll see Paul George hopefully out there. Starting lineup for tonight. Look at this. We get a change in the starting up. The usual 4 when Joel is in there, and he's had a rotation of 4s next to him. Tonight, Trendon Watford gets the nod. What do you think? Ahead of Jabari Walker.
I think you're still going to need minutes from Jabari Walker in this game. I really liked Trendon Watford was one of the better players in Wednesday's game. I thought Kyle made a good point. It's because he's not one of the guys that's playing 40 minutes per game. He was a little bit fresher out there. I think he has some nice chemistry with Maxey out there as well. I know they're the 2 old buddies who played AAU and kept up over all these years. But obviously, Trendon Watford, as we know, is pretty good with the ball in his hands for a 4, and they can do some things with Watford, Maxey screening. Sometimes Maxey, I think, can give him the dribble handoff, and because Maxey sort of has that Steph Curry, not Steph Curry level gravity, but Steph Curry light gravity, where the other team is not putting. I keep talking about those shooting guards who are hounding him 94 feet. They're not switching off of him, so you can give Trendon Watford a nice lane to the basket where he can either get all the way downhill, he can finish with his left hand. He's done that a couple times over the last few games, but he also can pass it as well. So I don't mind it, but I still think you're going to need some Jabari Walker minutes at some point tonight with the rotation as it's currently instructed.
Maybe it was also a little easier because McCain is coming back, so you do have another guy coming off the bench that can handle the ball, as well as Quentin Grimes. So maybe that's it. Look at those jerseys. Take a look at them. They look beautiful. Bree, can we see the court also? Kyle tweeted out a little bit earlier as they were changing the ice over to the hardwood, and you get the court. And look at that, just beautiful. They did it right. Really looks nice. And I understand that the shooting basketballs that a lot of people were asking for from that time.
The Comets.
Yeah, the Comets. Not on the floor, but even still, it looks good, I think. And I like the two-tone of it as well.
Yeah, the big difference that I see there is that the court back then, the paint was blue.
It was blue, yeah.
But you know what? You're trying to sell these jerseys. You're trying to differentiate a little bit, going with the all black. I think that is a nice-looking court.
That is a nice-looking court. I like the red in the backdrop there that kind of goes in the seats. Looks really good. And I look forward to seeing it on television tonight. And you see we have our shorts on the table of the blue color, not the black. Maybe we'll get the black in here shortly, maybe a jersey or something that we'll have in the studio. Something. I don't know. I'm just speaking out loud. I don't know. We'll see. With that, though, the Sixers play the Raptors. Raptors started Jakob Poeltl last night along with Scottie Barnes.
He's not playing tonight. Poeltl.
Yeah. So I was saying they started him last night with Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram along with the other guards, Barrett and Quickly. Tonight it is, you see Barnes, Barrett, Quickly, and Ingram. Who is that at the 5?
Is that CMB?
No, that looks like Obagi, doesn't it? That's
It's Obagi.
Yeah, so they're going small, and they're going to put...
That's a little hard to see these guys, man, with that red paint.
That fade that they put on the side. I guess Barnes is technically your 5. He's going to be the one that's going to try to hound Joel, and Joel can get him in foul trouble. Now, the quickness on the other end, that could be part of the problem. But that's smart for the offensive coach to do that if they're not in foul trouble.
We talked about Scottie Barnes on Maxey. No, Scottie Barnes is going to guard Joel Embiid, which is something that we have seen. If you go with Scottie Barnes at the 5, that has been the preferred strategy for Toronto when Nick Nurse was the coach on the other bench as well. Joel Embiid, by the end of that rivalry, that Sixers-Raptors rivalry in those years, particularly the 22 playoffs, he was roasting Scottie Barnes one-on-one. Joel Embiid, though, can he play physically against these smaller guys? That's the question. I'm excited to find out.
Get their hands in the cookie jar. 2 quick fouls. Whistle.
That would be nice.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's get to the Bet365 picks. The pregame picks brought to you by Bet365, never ordinary at Bet365. Let's see what Bree and I have here tonight. Bree's bets, Kelly Oubre, over 1.5 steals at plus 120. He has been fantastic defensively, so that's a pretty good bet. Mine, a same-game parlay, what is that, 156? I have the Sixers simply winning, getting back on the winning side of things, and Tyrese Maxey, the over-under was 27.5, Rich. So I was like, give me that.
I feel like that's a nice...
With 2 days off, give me that.
That's a nice way to build up the odds a little bit with the Sixers win, because Maxey, if the Sixers win... Be surprised if he doesn't crack 28 points.
Yes. Yeah, give me that. I'll take it. If you want to combine those, make sure you do so at Bet365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code PHLY 365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, never ordinary once again at Bet365. How you feeling about this one, Rich? Feeling okay? Close game maybe? At least close game no matter what. We get a ball game.
So I hope they beat them bad, man.
Okay.
I think this is a team. Again, the back-to-back thing, I think
got some young legs over there.
Is a huge deal.
Veteran young legs, too. It's not like I haven't played and I don't know how this is young legs.
VJ Edgecombe, I think the fact that he has been exhausted in these games so far, I understand. But the fact that you let him sit down for a couple days, I think he's going to be shot out of a cannon tonight. So hopefully it's maybe not a blowout, but a comfortable Sixers win.
Should be a win. And we need you to win with us and hit the like button. We'll talk more about the 0-1 team and the jerseys out tonight and tomorrow. We appreciate you hanging out with us on the pregame show. Hit the like button. We'll be back 10 minutes after the game goes final or sooner, depending on if the game is out of hand and we already have everything written up and we're ready to go. We'll be back here on the show post-game, Sixers Raptors. Let's talk about the jerseys and the floor and everything after the game. It's much easier to talk about if they get a win, too. So, for Rich, Bree, I'm Devon. We'll talk to Kyle after the game as well. We'll see you right after the game here on the PHLY Sixers Post-Game Show. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.